Hello, Ruth. Now, you were healed many years ago, in fact a decade ago, at a John Mellor meeting by Jesus. Can you tell us what were you suffering from?
I actually suffered from a range of things. I had complications in hospital, and I ended up with post-traumatic stress disorder, which developed into chronic panic disorder, which meant I had panic attacks every few minutes. I also had a heart problem, which of course was masked by the panic attacks, sleep disorder, migraines, chronic fatigue disorder. I was very ill.
And a lot of these things set in after the birth of your last son? And so how did that affect your everyday life?
Well, I was housebound actually for a couple of years. For the first few months after the birth I was very ill and in and out of hospital, and I just couldn't function at all, and I ended up just being stuck in the house with the children all day, and I had to lock the doors because I was having blackouts, so I could just be unconscious at any time, and the children of course were in the house with me. So it wasn't a very safe environment for them.
And so one day you heard that there were healing meetings happening nearby.
That's right. My husband and I have been Christians for years, and we'd been leaders in the church, and we had faith for healing, and people were praying for me for healing, but it just wasn't happening. So when we heard about the meetings that were happening in Wishaw, we decided we'd go, and every Friday night we paid for a babysitter, and we got in the car and we went. But to be honest, some nights I didn't even know if I was going to make it there alive, because my heart was so irregular. I had to be near a hospital to get there very quickly, obviously for emergency treatment. But I'd get in the car and I just thought, well, God's telling me to do this. He's going to look after me, and if I do arrive dead, well, I'll just pray for me and they'll raise me from the dead. So what have I got to worry about? But yeah, we went for several weeks, and my healing came really gradually. But the very first Friday night we went, I had an abscess in my tooth, and I had a damaged disc in my neck that I'd had for years, but I wasn't thinking about those at all. Of course, I was thinking about the more major issues. But we arrived at the meeting and I went forward for prayer, and it was the following day that I realised that I could move my neck without any problem. And I went to the dentist, and the dentist had been prepared to pull this tooth out, and he went, "Oh, I don't need to. For some reason, that tooth's fine now," and it was perfectly healed. And so that was an encouragement for me to keep going back, because I realised that God had a lot that he needed to do emotionally as well as spiritually and physically, and he did, but it took a few weeks, but I got completely healed. And I was seeing a psychologist at this point, a clinical psychologist, and she basically prepared me to live a life with these panic attacks. She said that you never get better from chronic panic disorder. When you have it for life. So they can treat it with drugs, and you learn to manage it. But one day at a meeting, John was preaching about the Father heart of God, and how God as a father loves us so much. And that night I was overwhelmed, absolutely overwhelmed by God's love for me. And the next morning we got up and we got in the car to go somewhere, and normally I'd get in the car and I'd have a panic attack straight away. And I got in the car and the panic attack never came, and we went down the road and we went to shops, and I just didn't go near shops, and no panic attack came. And I heard the Lord say to me, Ruth, he said, "Why would I let anything happen to you? There's nothing to be afraid of." And I never had a panic attack after that day. And I went back to see the psychologist, and she wouldn't believe me. And she said, "Look, I appreciate you've had a very spiritual experience, but I think you should keep coming back, because people don't get healed from this." So she had me go back again a few weeks later, and I still hadn't had a panic attack. So she finally had to admit that God had healed me, which was incredible.
And all those other conditions, how about your heart?
It's fine. It's fine. I had an arrhythmia. It's gone away. The sleep problem, I used to wake up during the night because I'd stopped breathing in my sleep. That stopped happening. Migraines went away. Just a new woman.
And so, Ruth, what would you like to say to encourage others who perhaps believe in healing and also come and aren't healed instantly as you weren't?
I would say keep believing and keep pressing in. Sometimes God's got to do something so deep that if he did it straight away, it would almost rip you in half. It's like with me, I won't go into my past because that's in the past, but there was so much deep emotional healing that had to be done, that if God had done it all at once, I couldn't have taken it. And at first I couldn't understand why he allowed me to get so ill when I had been a faithful leader in the church and I loved him and I knew he loved me. Why was this happening to me? But it's because he had so much more for me and he wanted to set me free. And so I would encourage anyone who's going through that not to doubt, not to let your hope be stolen away from you. Keep going, keep standing on the Word of God, learn the Word of God, speak it over yourself. And believe it, and keep going, don't give up.
No, absolutely, that's wonderful. And Ruth, do we have your permission to put this on our YouTube channel?
Yes, you do.
Thank you very much.